We're going live. And you guys are live just as the music hits. And it looks like Me6 was a cuctopus. Well, we're live now, actually, so I guess he might actually, like, break out a frickin' link. But we'll see. But I will set that up really quick. Please hold on, chat. It will be slightly enslowenated because I was just explaining this to Axe just now, but no, that's not gonna help. That's gonna be bad. Hold on. Oh my god. Why are YouTube links so weird? There's like 4 extra appends to this link. But anyway, to catch you people up at home. Ugh, sorry, this is just awful. But currently, we are running the stream between 2 PCs, basically. Because one monitor is plugged into the new PC, and the other monitor is still plugged into the old PC because they don't have enough cords yet. So, we get to do some weird shit while I balance some things. So I can now switch the scene because my hacking bot would not post the link to my Discord, so I did it myself, and then watch in like 5 minutes. He's going to get off his ass and post the link, and I'm going to be very disappointed. Also, Loth is only here with us in spirit. He is currently waiting for a bus. He may eventually catch up with us. But as explained on our last fail portrayal, we're doing Tenyi today, because Master Duel added a new solo mode, which is actually cool and relevant. Yeah, Architect also got in before. Hold on, do I actually want to... Let me do the pop-out chat. Because I have the control room pulled up on monitor 2, which is plugged into PC 2. But my mic arm is, like, perfectly positioned to where the chat goes, so I'll pop you guys out so I can actually see. We have fun here. But yeah, so we're going to talk about Tenyi because there was a new solo mode. This solo mode is good. Shocking, I know. But Tenyi is a really good archetype. Really good engine as well. Not only can you run pure Tenyis and actually have a decent game plan. The main thing is just that by their very nature, your in-archetype extra deck options are not as reactive as a lot of other decks. For reasons we'll get into later. But they also are a very powerful package that goes in fucking everything. And actually, they gave the player some really interesting combos. Not the most obvious ones, but some interesting ones. I believe the 2 optional side duels were you got to play Invoked Tenyi, which works and is a deck I have actually done. And the other was you got to play Adventure Tenyi, which is another thing that works because adventure tokens are not effect monsters. So yes, this is the thesis for what do you call it? Tenyis. They are a series of monsters. They are all Wyrms. While many of them themselves are effect monsters, a lot of their cards are procced around non-effect monsters. Now, this is very important. Non-effect monsters are not normal monsters. Normal monsters includes all non-effect monsters, but there are also monsters which are not considered effect monsters. This includes link monsters that don't have any effect, ritual monsters that only contain their summon materials, fusion monsters who only contain their fusion materials, synchros, exceeds, etc. So there's actually quite a lot of those going on that you can think about. There are some cases where they are still effect monsters. For instance, proscriptive text, like Mudball Man saying he can only be fusion summoned. Guess what? Technically an effect monster, even if his effect is a condition and not activated, lingering, triggered, or anything. That said, yeah, there's a lot of weird shit you can do with these cards because they proc off non-effect monsters. This also includes tokens that don't have effects as well. And trap monsters, if they say that they are normal monsters, are not effect monsters. Some of them actually become effect monsters, so keep that one in mind. But yeah, Tenyi, it's a very diverse type, and it has a lot of really interesting stuff. Lore-wise, the name Tenyi, it's written as Tenyi, with like a long I and an apostrophe in Japanese. This is the Japanese transcription of a Chinese term that has long vowels that I'm going to fuck up, but I will fuck them up just in case it summons Dallas. The phrase is Tianwei. That might not be a long enough E, but it means literally heavenly might in Chinese and thus also in Japanese, so, you know, there's a lot of stuff there. This is I don't want to say oriental, but this is a very Eastern-focused archetype because it takes a lot of concepts from that kind of aesthetic, syncretic, you know, legacy. All of the Tenyi spirit monsters, the main deck monsters we're going to talk about, they are all named and themed after your 7 chakra points. So we're going to go in ascending chakra order. This is important to a variety of practices from Buddhism and Hinduism. Most of you probably remember your 7 chakras because you watched Avatar: The Last Airbender. Beat for joke. But they are also related very explicitly to concepts like, you know, chi, meridians, other shit like that, certain balances of natural forces. The lore in the solo mode is pretty decent. Fun fact, the lore in the solo mode is very slightly different than the way the previously were described in a side book. Ow. Sorry, it's me raising my knee. Actually, you being deathly quiet because Loth said you talked too much last time, or just because you don't have anything to add?
I thought I said a thing. Sorry.
Nope.
Also, because you were talking. Also, because I was waiting for you to finish talking, I guess.
Well, I left a couple of beats in there just in case.
Okay. Well, I guess the weird thing is, I'm not sure if it's a spoiler, but I'm inspired. Like, it's basically like, I guess, the first 2 arcs of a story instead of a whole story.
Yes, the story outlined is interesting in that it doesn't actually conclude. There's
It's just
probably
the
not going to
and then
be
it's the conflict, and then
the conflict, but there's no actual like resolution yet. This probably means that there's not going to be any more Tenyi spirit monsters because they are themed, but they could theoretically add more Tenyi cards. But
they make more monk and shaman and berserker forms.
Yeah, and you could introduce like other characters as well.
And it's like, I think they're about to have because it's like, I feel like there's all the spell trap cards for the fight. The final fight or something.
Yeah. But it just it doesn't get there yet, and gonna be honest, don't know if it will anytime soon because Tenyis, as we've discussed, are super successful.
They're always a great support engine for Wyrms.
They were first released in... Where the fuck are dates? There we go. In 2019, Rising Rampage. So Wyrms had existed for a long time. Obviously, Yang Zing had basically their entire heckin' life cycle already. But, you know, they came out, and they have been consistently good ever since, basically. Obviously, they have been in meta contention as part of a Sword Soul package, and I think they've been in some other brews, but there's a lot of them out there that we will discuss in time. But probably should start running through some lines on some of these cards so you guys can get the aesthetics. As always, well, not as always, but there is a lot to discuss in art here, and this is more on the positive side. This is our first card. We're starting at the lowest chakra point, and we're going up. So this is Tenyi Spirit Adhara.
God, it's like a... It was like it's like a smoked glass painting.
Yes, this has a very strong painted vibe, and also the artist has done a lot to kind of communicate the translucentness of this, because the idea is, you know, there's these dragon veins, the meridians of chi in the land and whatever. You know, they form the shapes of dragons when they're really strong. So there is the rock in this part. I don't know. Hold on. Let me check my lag. Yes, okay, my cursor is moving. Sorry, like, is my cursor showing up, or do I have to adjust that it is? So there's the rock bit in the center, and then there's the actual spirit, you know, wiggling around there. Just making sure my preview's up to date. Sorry, there was a brief pause there as I had to wrap my brain around the fact that my 2 monitors are no longer plugged into the same PC, so I just tried to fucking drag my cursor from one monitor to the next. Nope. Doesn't work anymore, Chief. Not until you get the other monitor set up. But yeah, this is Adhara. Stylistically, super cool. Rad. I love it. Other than that, not a lot to add. It is a dragon. It is, in fact, you know, kind of a Chinese-style dragon, literally coming from the earth, which, you know, fits kind of the description of Wyrm. Now, if you want to know where this card's name came from, this one is named after the lowest level chakra, the Muladhara, the root chakra, which is located, you know, at your base, beneath your sacrum, which is also commonly associated with Earth. Spoilers, chat. This is the Earth one. There's a couple of attribute overlaps, obviously, because there's technically 7 Tenyi spirits, and there's only 6 elements in Yu-Gi-Oh! Unless you bust out Divine, but as we've seen, Konami is very reluctant to do that. But this one is Earth. I mean, you guys probably could have, even if you didn't know anything, if you knew exactly jack and shit about Tenyis, you could have assumed they had different attributes because I said that you can run Invoked Tenyi. That's kind of the defining thing for can you run an invoked package is, do you have multiple attributes to pick from? If you only have one, it's kind of not worth it. Let me dial the music down just slightly. I just think it's a little loud to me. Okay, so Adhara is a level 1 Wyrm Earth Tuna. This is another reason why they're very important, because they have access to tunas, and obviously, as we've discussed previously, Tenyi was really big as a package in both, obviously, working with Yangzings, a Synchro archetype, and also working with Sword Soul, a Synchro archetype. So, yeah, call me, I guess, when Wyrm decides to get a real Xyz archetype, or a fusion archetype. I'm pretty sure it's not a fusion-based Wyrm archetype. I'm sure chat will jump down my throat and correct me if I'm wrong. It is 0 attack, 0 defense. It's a level 1 tuner. It's not exactly supposed to be impressive. And so, I will truncate this from then on, but all Tenyis, all Tenyi spirits, I should say, have some version of this first effect, which is, if you control no effect monsters, you can special summon this card from your hand. So, if you have no effect monsters, which means you have either no monsters or no monsters with effects, you can special summon them. Both of their effects are going to be hopped. But they then have a second effect, which is usually if you control a non-effect monster. So Adhara's effect is if you control a face-up non-effect monster, banish this card from your graveyard, target one of your banished Wyrms, accept this card, add it back to your hand. A lot of the later ones have some variation of banish to do a thing, so this is your recycler. And it's pretty solid. Adhara is one of the more popular ones because it is a tuner. You usually see it run a lot. It recycles when it's banished. It's a free tuner special, so it has a lot of utility. So keep that in mind. Let's grab our next one. Going up. We're climbing the chakras in your body, chat.
Cool.
Though, interestingly enough, they don't really try to do anything with the stars there. But our next one is Tenyi Spirit Sathana.
It reminds me of, like, a painted version. It reminds me of, like, one of the Final Fantasy title screens have a Shiva at the front.
Yeah.
got like kind of like that ice layered stuff to it.
Yeah. You
But
know,
also,
you can
like,
once again see
it's
the
like
dragony
it's got
bits.
also mix of being like spiritual mist, which I guess it is meant to be like it's basically the essence of the plant of the Arctic, I guess.
Yeah.
The chakra of the planet.
So the this is based on Svadhisthana. So that's your your next up chakra. That one is located. God, I swear to God, Wikipedia had a better way of describing this, but it's killing me with no longer being out there. So. Okay, yes. So this one is located usually kind of at your navel. God, sorry. Like I said, I'm literally reading this, and I'm like, I swear I knew this at once, but the way that Wikipedia is formatting this makes me feel like I'm dumb.
Huh.
6 petals. Yeah. It is associated with desire. That I knew. It's blocked by fear. But most of these are supposed to have also tied to certain, like, elemental ideas. But whatever. It's not... It's... I presume it is supposed to be the water one, as... You know, it's water type. I know, spoilers. But yeah. We're not going to read too much into the chakra stuff. Yeah, Filthy Casual saying, cool ice barrier card. Yeah, it kind of has that vibe a little bit. The actual dragon part, the crystalline dragon getting out there. But yeah, there's not too much, I think, to be read into the abilities or associations of certain of the ones. It's mostly just Konami was like, cool, 7 chakras, 7 guys, 7 elements, 7 stars. But this one's not level 2. This is level 4. So it doesn't quite line up. But this is a Water Wyrm level 4. 400 attack, 2k defense. If you control no effect monsters, you can do that effect. And then if a face-up non-effect monster you control is destroyed by battle or card effect, banish this card from your hand or graveyard, target one of those destroyed monsters, special it, destroy a card your opponent controls. I don't know what that has to do with, like, desire or fear. It's just a auto-reborn effect that turns into a pop. Which is good. If you are playing the non-effect variants of Tenyis, where you actually make, like, you know, Monk or Berserker or anything like that, you know, the big boys who are non-effect, or you're doing other wombo combos, like I said, you can do Adventure. Technically, the Earth Fusion in Invoked is non-effect. Magellanica has no effect. He's just a big bonkless, you know? I don't think it was popular per se, but I'm fairly certain somebody has tried to run Phantasm Spiral Tenyi, because that's also all about, you know, normal monsters and tokens that don't have effects and shit. Somebody has tried to make that evil happen. I lost here.
Hey, I may mute up occasionally. You don't want to hear Macca's mukbang.
Correct. What I was going to say first.
Oh, sorry. What? I was just gonna say, Axe is correctly on point. This is the spirit of the Arctic.
Yeah, it's a little weird. I don't know where in. I mean, I guess technically it doesn't have to take place in China, but it sounds like it's something very China inspired. I don't know where they have.
Inspired, but it's also like the whole planet.
Tenyi Febreze dragon.
Because they have whole different regions all the time. Because it's like, China is a relatively big place, but like even then, there's not really an Arctic Circle.
Yeah, I'm about to say they don't have glaciers though.
No. All the other regions, though, I can see, like, the mountainous and fields and other things like that.
But, you know, they need a water one, and it's cool. Literally. Ba-dum-pa. What I was going to say also earlier, before Loth slid in just now, was I was wondering if talking about Phantasm Spiral 10, you would, like, summon Dallas. That sounds like a terrible jank deck he ran.
I mean, Phantasm Spiral technically summoned me.
Well, that's just normal. When you flip over the Phantasm Spiral Sloth, you summon a Loth token. Normal 2K something. I don't fucking Chat, do you think I have read a single Phantasm Spiral card? No. I just pop the field spell and go home. Get that shit out of here. But yeah, anyway, hypothetically being a water target, I suspect that Sithana works if you were trying to do that terrible homebrew, but Sithana mainly works not as the best part of the package unless you are running the non-effect variant, basically. Because, you know, you gotta do the thing. Alright. So, some of you probably have seen it, but you might not have seen it. This is our next one is one that relies pretty heavily on that stuff, but also, it's not very cool. In fact, it's very warm. This is Tenyi Spirit Mapura. There's something very, I keep wanting to say cool, but very interesting and awe-inspiring, but also very wrong about the way we've drawn this magma.
It's like how it's how you like glass or a smoke paint.
I actually
Lava.
think the magma's coming off of his tail.
Well, his tail's not real, so that's why he's a spooky ghost.
He's energy. Yeah, it's like.
So I think technically
it's lava serpent, but it's like.
It looks
again.
it
It's
looks
just an
like
art
the
style
lines show
thing.
an extra thing. Yeah, like it's very stylized. Like actual, I mean, yes, actual magma is very interesting and kind of has a lot of unique properties. But the main thing is, while it is molten, you do not normally describe it as liquid. It's still very dense, and depending on the temperature, like this, it'll form a crust on top. So it doesn't really behave like this goop claw thing is. But these guys are mystical, so it's like, man, this looks nice. Get some great background shots. Very fiery, very hot.
It's hot fire, as the saying goes, I guess.
I spit hot fire. You're too close, man. This is another interesting case where they just, like, squished the name a little. This is the, named after the Manipura chakra. So, Mapura, Manipura. That one's associated with fire. And is located, I believe, around your stomach. Yeah, it's behind the navel, so in your guts, your fiery guts. So Mapura looking pretty good.
Stomach acid Tenyi.
Listen, nobody can decide what fire is. But Mapura is a fire worm. This one's also level 4. You know, I guess you can overlay into Gemnite Pearl or something.
Hmm.
Yeah, no, it's very odd. It has 600 attack, 1500 defense. Its stats are honestly pretty bad. Sithana also, I think, has merit as being like a 2k wall, basically. This one's not really got good stats for that, but it has the special summon clause, and also it is your negate. When your opponent activates a card or effect that targets a face-up non-effect monster you control, quick effect, banish this card from your hand to graveyard, negate, and destroy. So again, if you're playing pure Tenyis or you are running Tenyis in a deck that benefits from this interaction with non-effect monsters, Mapura is very good. In general, engine-type builds, Mapura is not that useful because it focuses on the non-effect variant. So, you know, there's still some stuff there. I am not actually sure why the levels literally go like 1, 4, 7. I'm not actually sure why. I mean, I know the deck needs normal summons, but I'm not entirely certain why exactly they decided to go this route with it. But let's grab our next one. Nope, not insert. Sorry, hold on. I'm fumbling for my keys. This is Tenyi Spirit Nahata. So a lot of interesting stuff going on here. There's this kind of like crystalline but still viney look to kind of like the actual dragon vein wrapping around this tree. But the tree is kind of drawn also itself in a little bit of a more traditional, normal painted art style. And then there's still, you know, glowy ghost dragon.
I like they're very consistent of like how all the spirit dragons are different. Like the backgrounds can be done differently, but it's always like this one feels like they had a different person do the backgrounds, but the same person did the actual like brambles and the dragon part.
Yeah.
Because they had to make so many of this in like a few months or something.
Yeah, I'm not actually sure how. I don't think they all came out all at once, but I could double check.
No, it came out relatively like theater to be
I mean, it probably would have been like 2 waves of support, but I don't think they dumped like all of them at once. So Nahata is based on Anata. It just has an A on the chart. It's the heart chakra. Sorry, slight cough there. You know, it's located near your heart. And does actually have some associations with a tree. Now, this is the wind one. There is no explicit wind or air in, for instance, Chinese wuxing. That's usually taken up by wood. So, obviously, this, you know, kind of bridges that because there is also a tree, but obviously there is no wood element in Yu-Gi-Oh! But, you know, it kind of balances out. I also find it funny that, despite the fact that we are climbing the ranks of the chakras, spoiler chat, the stats get worse and worse the higher up we go.
Because
Even though, you know, our root chakra, the 1-star tuner, had 0-0, but all the rest of the stats are just not helpful. It doesn't really matter because this is literally a synchro and or a link deck, but it's funny.
I think the stats have something to do with like I guess placement of them, or not. I guess not even placement, or I guess like more just what it's connected to.
I think it may be related to just the general idea that the better and more generic the effects are, like the shittier the stats.
Yeah, but an inherent balance thing.
But there's, you know, a lot of oddball stuff going on. So Nahata is a Wind Wyrm, level 4, 800 attack, 1k defense, has the special summon clause, and then when an attack is declared involving your face-up non-effect monster and an opponent's face-up monster, you can banish this card from your graveyard. That opponent's monster loses 1500 attack until the end of this turn. You can only use each effect once per turn. So Nahata is your, you know, your Kalut type effect, your Honest type effect. It is a battle trick. Note that this is on attack deck. It is not in damage calc. So it is not as bulletproof as other cards. Again, depending on the context, Nahata is a very nasty card to spring on your opponent if you are playing pure Tenyis or a Tenyi with a non-effect package. In normal Yu-Gi-Oh! Play, I think even more so than, because, you know, like, there can be some non-effect bridges in Tenyi, right? Like, you might go into a Monk or something if you're running a Tenyi package.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. So, like, Sathana and Mapura, you know, Mapura is a negate. The lengths Yu-Gi-Oh! Players will go to get one singular negate. And Sathana, you know, reborns guys if they're destroyed. So it can help you kind of, like, salvage your turns and keep going. Those are useful. Nahata is a battle trick. So it's okay. It's probably, I think, one of the least used ones outside of actual Tenyi decks. Oddly enough, it's our big stars, which are the most used, but probably not that ironic enough because they are good levels that enable things.
Mm-hmm.
Let me make sure this preview fully loads, because this is also really, really good art as well. Our
Also,
next
before
one...
we leave this guy,
go ahead. Yeah.
sorry to interrupt Omega, but before we leave that guy, He's green. Thumbs up from me.
Okay, yes. We discussed his greenness.
I always forget you're like me. I keep forgetting for some reason.
This is Tenyi Spirit Vishuddha.
This is the one that's made from people going angry and insane inside caves.
It is made of a dark chi.
Hatred.
Sorry. I know he's meant to be evil looking. My first thought was he, Peter. My mind went, meh.
Yes.
Of course it did.
So, Vishuddha is based off the chakra Vishuddha, but with 2Ds.
Legally distinct.
Yes. It is said to be associated with colors like purple. Let me actually find, where is it? Located in the okay, yeah, it's the throat chakra is where it is located. And that one is also sometimes associated with concepts like space, hence why this is the dark one. But yeah, no. They do a really good job here. He's got kind of this, purplish red evil miasma color. We've still got kind of the crystalline metallic background with like the stalagmites and stuff, but it's just kind of like a weird spooky cave dragon who's also got a skull face spooky cave dragon.
Yep.
Uh,
I can literally picture him forming using like the cloud becoming more solid-ish.
So, you've probably seen this one for a while because this is a Dark Wyrm level 7.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a level 7. This means you can set up 4 Sync 8 plays and also Rank 7 plays. These are very important to lots of decks. It has 1,500 attack, 2,500 defense, so it actually has alright stats for being inherently a level 7. It has the special summon clause, and then its banish effect is if you control a face-up non-effect monster, you can banish this card from your graveyard, target a card your opponent controls, return it to the hand. So it is a compulse as well. So Vishuddha is very good. Being a 7, being dark, being, special summonable in this way, Vishuddha is very common. Actually getting his compulse effect is kind of rare, but can be worth it, especially if you're leaning more heavily on the Tenyis. And I should check some Sword Soul extra decks, but I suspect they probably have like at least a monk and probably a shaman, because the shaman is very good in Wyrm decks. We'll get into the extra deck shortly, but yeah,
I've seen this guy a lot.
Yes, mainly Vishuddha is a dark monster that's a free special as a 7. That's like really good in so many decks, so it's very important. I was literally debating to myself like the other day. I was like, oh yeah, if I wanted to revamp my Red Eyes deck in Master Duel, would I include a Vishuddha package? That's a free 7 and a dark. That's more Flare Metal Dragons. So
and
yeah,
you like normal Red Eyes, which is a non-effect monster.
Also true. Yeah, that's the other benefit of running a 10. The main problem is there's just so many fucking Red Eyes cards that you need to run anyway. Like, I would have to basically, like, cut out parts of my extra deck. And then maybe that works if I drop Slash Dragon to end all warrior monsters just to, put in, like, Monk and shit, something, to work off that. But anyway, we have one next one. Our last, technically our last main deck Tenyi. Because the biggest Chakra Boy is actually an extra deck monster. That one you probably don't see a lot, and we'll discuss why. But Vishuddha you do see a lot of, and you also see a decent amount of our next one. This is Tenyi Spirit Ashuna. Not Adhara, Ashuna. He is a dragon.
Yep, that's
Yeah.
Dragon.
Yeah.
Chinese dragon.
This is based on the chakra Ajna with a J. Though again, the way the Japanese language is, sometimes there's a little bit of going at there. This is the chakra associated with the center of your forehead, aka the third eye. So it is connections to like dreams, light, etc. So this is the light one. It does work out. And also, in the context of the story, this is the, after, as seen in our thumbnail image, which was Fists of the Unrivaled Tenyi, a great card we'll be talking about later. Sorry, it's slightly off-center. Our main characters, Monk and Shaman, get beat up by Berserker, so they decide to seek more powerful chi, and are told where to find a light chi. This guy.
Ellie, the forbidden one to go for, but as it turns out, I guess the flawless enlightenment form cannot surpass the unrivaled Tenyi.
Yeah. It's because he's all about being powerful. He is the unrivaled.
Also,
but yeah, so there's a lot of light going on in this.
How do you think flawless perfection translates to? Because it feels like it's probably a direct translation, but it doesn't sound that great.
I mean, as far as like translations of martial arts styles, yeah, no, flawless perfection, I think is about right. I do have most of their spell traps queued up, so we can probably like look into what they're originally called in a second. Some translations of Tenyi cards are direct. The name for Heavenly Dragon Circle, that's pretty literally translated from Japanese. Like the Japanese words used there are just Heavenly Dragon Circle. But Ashina is another one you have probably seen. This is another good one because it is a light level 7 Wyrm. 1600 attack, 2600 defense. Slightly bigger than Vishuda. You can special summon it, and then you can banish it from your graveyard to special summon any Tenyi monster from your deck except Ashina. If you control a non-effect monster. But you also can't special summon for this term except for Wyrms. So it does Wyrm lock you. This means that Ashina is slightly less used than Vishuda, because Vishuda's effect in Graveyard, its banish effect, is more generically useful. But if you're using Tenyis as a Wyrm-type engine, which, let's be real, you probably are, Ashina is a good card. All you gotta do is make a monk and just fucking fetch from deck.
I wasn't there for this. What was the name of the first Tenyi you guys looked at?
Adhara.
I'm surprised it's not Jim. Gonna let that simmer for a bit.
Yeah,
You don't get it?
No.
He's Earthworm Jim.
Yeah.
Oh man, the amount of unimpressed Omega is, it hurts.
Well, that's what you get for making a fucking Earthworm Jim reference in the year 2023. So, we have one last Tenyi Spirit. One last Spicy Boy.
I was so impressed by that joke, I went to get ramen.
Sure.
I see your ramen and I raise you Japanese chicken curry. Fuck you.
Cool, I'm putting spicy in mine. I'm putting, like, salsa.
You guys have fun with that. I already ate dinner. So, this is Tenyi Spirit Sasasara. There's definitely some jokes. They just added an extra aura in this, by the way. The name of this chakra, which is the 7th and final chakra. It's at the crown of your head. It's associated with, like, big cosmic revelation and stuff. Is Sahasrara. But they've got some extra in there. Actually, no, I think this might be... Yeah, no, I think this might be directly transliterated. No, they have an extra S is what it is. Okay, it's Sahasrara as the Yu-Gi-Oh card. The actual is Sahasrara. But yes, chat, you may be wondering, that's weird. I don't remember this guy. No, you wouldn't unless you seriously run a major Tenyi package. So
I wasn't sure on the solo mode, honestly.
Yeah. They alluded to it, and it's playable. Like, it's an important part of those decks. But this is a light Wyrm, Link 4. It has front-facing arrow, and then the top right arrow, and then back right. So kind of like, you know, very, very, very right-focused. Not sure why. Not sure what that means. Its mats are any 2+ Wyrm monsters, but remember, it's a Link 4. While you control a face-up non-effect monster, monsters your opponent controls cannot target effect monsters for attacks, and your opponent cannot target effect monsters on the field with card effects. Quick effect. Target effect monster your opponent controls, special summon a Tenyi Spirit token, Wyrm Light level 4, attack question mark defense 0. This token attack becomes that monster's original attack. You can only use this effect once per turn. And it's only got 3k attack. So, honestly, Sarasara is cool. It, you know, gives your... basically, if you already have another effect monster out, it gives your effect monsters, namely probably itself, but maybe some other cards you're summoning, blanket protection. They can't be targeted for attacks, and they cannot be targeted with card effects on the field. This means that your opponent has to go through your non-effect monsters, which usually means you're going to be, you know, triggering lots of spicy Tenyi Spirit effects. You know, like negates and battle tricks and stuff. I think the primary reason why this card probably isn't seen more, I don't really see it in a lot of deck lists. I wasn't super familiar with it before the solo mode. You can actually pull it off in the solo mode in a couple of decks, and it's probably the right call. But the main thing I think is that I don't think it's an investment that's worth it stat-wise, because you can just stop at their Link 3, who we're going to discuss later. He also has 3k attack and has no effect, which means he inherently gets all the cool Tenyi interactions. So Sahasrara is a Link 4 you have to set up that does stuff that you don't need. Like, if you're going into such a deep extra deck play, there are much better, more reactive Wyrms you can make these days. Like, you know, I don't know, all the Sword Souls. So yeah, this is an odd one. The token is very funny, but it's not super worth it. I assume the token exists so you can create because it's not an effect monster. So you can create a non-effect monster to deal with, you know, Tenyi effects, but it's a Link 4, y'all, okay? Like, the only Link 4s that are usually played is, you know, it's either shit like, technically she's a Link 5, but, you know, Underworld Goddess is, you know, a big one. I have actually seen certain decks in certain formats play Zealantis. Some of the Borals actually make the cut, and obviously Access Code Talker is the big one, right?
Yeah, I gotta think about the access code.
if this guy can't weigh up to Access Code, you would literally just run Access Code. Hell, I think Access Code might be a better card in even in your pure Tenyi deck, because if you go to a Link 4, you probably had to put some Link monsters in your fucking graveyard, so you have, you know, board clearing material. Hell, if you made Berserker, you can tag him for a big fucking attack boost. Actually, wait, no. You might not be able to. Does Access Code specifically call out effect monsters for his mats? He might. That means you couldn't do Berserker. Yeah, he has 2+ effect monsters. So, you couldn't make him with Berserker, but you could make him with, you know, Shaman, who is a Link 2 that's very common, and, you know, a couple of other boys you may have on board. So, there's some wiggle room there. But yeah, those are all your Tenyi spirits. They're associated with the chakra points. We didn't really talk about his art, but I think it's interesting to see Sahasrara here as kind of like, you know, the peak form. You know, he is not just a ghost of a dragon, but is the actual, like, realized literal fucking dragon. He is the ultimate expression of the dragon vein. But, you know, plot-wise, he hasn't done shit, so. Alright, so let's go down the line. Need for my tab to open. Chad, I know you're being very, very quiet today, very distant. But I hope your viewing experience is going okay. If it's not been going okay, you haven't been saying anything, so. I do see little buffering ticks, but again, that might just be that I'm watching the stream preview and running the control room on a different PC that is currently, you know, sitting under my desk Wi-Fiing.
I don't know for the sound quality, but I know, like, the stream's been fine.
Yeah, okay, so I think it's just in my end that it's doing that little buffering thing. Alright, no. Oh my god, no, okay, it is going, sorry. I thought for a second I was mistyping my URL, because I need a tab to look at my fucking Tenyi monster from the Master Duel art. And it was being very sluggish. And we accidentally went to YouTube, because that's the first, you know, when I type Y.
Why? Why?
YouTube. So in a incredibly oddball bit of card design, this is arguably, you know, one of our major protagonist characters, a centerpiece of the deck. This is Monk of the Tenyi. This guy's an extra deck monster. He's a Link 1.
Yep.
This
Pretty easy to
guy.
get to.
Yeah, I mean, if you're playing Tenyis, you can get to him. His name's a little more elaborate in Japanese. It is technically Tenyi no Kenso, Pugilist Monk of the Tenyi. I think it was perfectly fine that they dropped the he's a monk of a Tenyi. We've played D&D. We understand what a monk is. In the story, he is described as, you know, being a very advanced student of the actual, you know, flawless perfection style of the Tenyi. He has mastered an Earth Chi. That's why you can see the Adhara there that he is summoning up from his fist to soul punch somebody with the Dragon Fist. Which is kind of funny because there's no fucking way Monk of the Tenyi would ever do that in the actual card game. I mean, technically, you know, we just talked earlier about Nahata, but yeah, this guy is mostly I guess technically he is an extender because he's not your starter, but the act of summoning him off any of your Tenyi Spirit summons is kind of how your combo gets started. So, I don't really have anything else to say about him. It is nice to see, though, the art style kind of, you know, go together. He's kind of a normal-ass anime boy, but he has a cool Dragon Fist.
Sorry, that's about my thoughts as well.
Yeah. So, this is an Earth Link 1. Again, you know, letting you know, he's got the Earth Chi. It is just the bottom down arrow. So, you know, you can hypothetically Link climb. You can arrow climb. He is a Wyrm. They decided to, you know, keep doing that thing where they keep a lot of the stuff in making sense in the terms of archetype support, even though hypothetically you could probably classify him as a warrior, but that doesn't help the deck out. So he is a Wyrm. He's a Link 1, like I said. He has 1,000 attack. He is not an effect monster because all he has listed is his materials. One non-Link Tenyi monster. That's it. So if you'll recall, chat, if you're following along at home, remember, all of the Tenyi spirits say, if you don't have any effect monsters, you can special summon them. So you can get a free special, then link them off to become a non-effect monster, which means you can summon more of them and also turn on their effects in hand and graveyard.
Honestly, I feel they missed the opportunity to put flavor text on him.
Yeah, I mean, that would be unprecedented in that there are a lot of extra deck monsters that are technically non-effect that don't have flavor text. They just have their materials linked. I do kind of wish Konami had done that, though, right? Like, that would have been an opportunity for them to keep that up, but they did not. Oh, actually, there's another funny thing. I don't see it a lot, but because it also involves a lot of, like, 4s and 8s, there's probably something to be said for you could probably do something funny with Magiki Tenyi, because Magiki is a deck that's based all around a specific level 4 normal monster. And I have seen a lot. It's mostly because I've been watching, like, fucking, you know, Luke Von Karma sub-replays, but I have seen a lot of dumb Magiki shit. That's a very weird, funny deck. But yeah, so Monk is your, you know, your starting piece. You need him to keep your combo going to let you extend into your next one. Your next one is usually, if you're doing the actual full Tenyi line, though not always, but it's usually Shaman of the Tenyi. So this is Shaman. She is also, you know, a great student of the style, said to be even stronger than Monk technically, because you'll notice she has 3 Dragoos. Specifically our other level 4s here. And summons them forth with, you know, great dances and fans. And while you guys sit here in silence, I'm going to go get my bottle of water.
Sure.
Thoughts, Axe?
I like the fan. I think the way her dress is made is really nice.
The bladed fan and the dress does look nice indeed.
She's got like Kieran like horns.
Oh yeah, the Kieran headpiece like thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm pretty sure it's dragon horns.
She's got a very
Kind of
soft
funny.
face compared to how like Actually, no. Also, Monk is off it.
Yeah, no, they're both pretty anime. I
But
do
they're
want to.
both like they're like teenagers compared to like
Yeah,
Berserker's
they're,
like a
they're
fucking
supposed
old
to be,
man.
well, yeah, Berserker's really old, but we'll get to that in a sec. But yeah, they're supposed to be the senior students, but they are still students, so they're somewhere in their, young adult years. I do want to bring up, it's, funny because it's relevant right now, but Shaman is technically RGB gaming.
Yeah, she's got red, blue, green.
So that's a funny thing I was thinking about when I was standing up briefly and stretching out my
What
core
did Monk
muscles.
have? Did he just have the light
He
one?
just has the Earth
or-
one.
Okay, just the Earth one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Meg, I just had the dumbest thing I wanted to tell you now.
What you got?
The Tenyi story is literally just meant to be. It's just a monk solo duty, but you have a summoner support.
That's what it is. It's a monk storyline, but they give you a summoner character to deal with. Sadly, I don't think Shaman can Bahamut Blast.
No, she has a Ashtava Blast.
But she does have her 3 little eggies.
She does.
They're the wrong kind though.
They're like the level 90 versions, but they're like very big.
Garuda Eggy, Ifrit Eggy, Leviathan Eggy. No Titan Eggy, sadly.
Hey yo,
Actually,
Mr. Dear Naoki Yoshida, producer of both Final Fantasy XIV and Final Fantasy XVI, you couldn't get my boy Leviathan in Final Fantasy XVI. Can you throw my summoner friends a bone and when we do the jump to level 100 in next X pack, can you get them a Leviathan Eggy?
Or like also
Give them a little
just
danger
let them
noodle
like
boy.
do more. Like I don't know, like add more summons. I guess.
I mean, hell, technically we've already got this with scholars. Is like there's technically there's various summon glams. So that even if it's just a cosmetic, my friends could appreciate a little glowing blue danger noodle.
I mean, it changes. I think the summon changes to different. It would have different like I guess damage typing, but that doesn't really matter in most things.
Yeah.
It only matters in like. I don't really think it really matters overall in like actual.
But also, I don't know if they have it, but it would be funny if you gave them a push. You give summoners a push, right, then Eggy, so they can become the captain. Anyway, we've joked about Final Fantasy XIV. Tune in tomorrow for that stream. Shaman is a fire Wyrm. Link 2. Bottom corner links, generic Link 2 shit. This card was printed in 2019 in Rising Rampage. So yeah, no, this was core. 1600 attack. Link 2, like I said. Its materials are exactly 2 Wyrm monsters. So, you don't even need to be playing fucking Tenyis to play Shaman. In fact, I would say Shaman probably has more playability than Monk for this reason. Monk obviously requires you to do a Tenyi name. That's not that hard to set up because, as we've discussed, Vishuddha is good, Adhara is good, Ashina is usable, depending on what you're doing. So, getting to Monk is very easy. Shaman is just Wyrms, generic Wyrms. And also her effect is generic to Wyrms. Her effect is discard a card, target a Wyrm in your grave. Also, by the way, you can discard 1 card, then target a Wyrm monster in your graveyard. I do believe that mathematically that means, I think you still need a target in graveyard to attempt this at all. But this does mean that you can discard the Wyrm you want to special summon because you're special summoning that monster in your graveyard. Also, for the rest of this turn, you cannot activate the effects of monster special summon from the extra deck except Tenyi monsters. When an attack is declared with a face-up, involving your face-up non-effect monster, target 1 card your opponent controls, destroy it. You can use each effect of Shaman once per turn. So, she does Tenyi lock you for activated effects, not continuous effects. So, like, obviously, depending on your lines, the Reborn will block you out of activating further effects. But can still be used to fetch material and make very big boys. So, yeah, Tenyi is your kind of like generic Wyrm Link 2. She has the arrows, so this still would have been in Master Rule 4, so, it's good to have the arrows so you can get multiple syncs on board. Yangzing probably liked that a lot. And remember, it's only extra deck monsters it locks you out of. You can still do main deck effects. And also, hey, this is a Link 2 that, specials from Grave. Also, hold on, that reminds me. I want to put this in perspective also, because we talked about how fucking stupid Sprite Elf is and how it deserves to be banned. Sprite Elf's another link too that I think it doesn't require exact materials in that it just requires 2 monsters, one of which must be a level or a level 2, I think. That just lets you quick effect target a level 2 and summon it. I believe it extra deck locks you, and it doesn't require you to pay a card. Is it shocking at all that we decided Elf needed to go? But yes, as I said, this is a Link 2, and it summons back a monster. That means it's very easy to go into a Link 3. Whatever could you be going into? I feel like this guy was more intimidating in his line work. Anyway, it's Berserker.
He is.
So, having him fully blown up like this, and, like, actually looking at him and not having him, like, looming in the background in the solo mode, I have some design notes. Number 1, his frowny face. It's a little too frowny. Like, his face is so squished on his head. Like, look at how much forehead this man has compared to the rest of his face.
This guy's got like Heihachi from Tekken vibes, and how like old and menacing he is.
Yeah, like I think he still has the menacing energy, but actually staring at his face, I'm like, okay, he's got a little too much forehead.
Well, part of it's because I think it's because it's literally dragon bits are coming out of his face.
It's true. He is transforming into a dragon. Also, I want to say, considering this guy was supposed to be like meditating in a cave for 100 years or something, where did he get these like branded pants? Like,
I think he had this before he meditated, because I think he was also like rejected from.
I mean, he was kicked out, yeah, but it's like he's got like dragon knee pad baggy wrestle pants, and I'm just like,
Is he got...
really?
How many years did he meditate? Did he walk over to like the cave outlet and plug in a washing machine? Like how?
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, honestly, they really should have done like the whole thing where it's all like tarnished, but like it's still like brilliant.
Yeah,
Unless his key literally like refined it, I guess.
Maybe it did. It kept his pants clean, but that's like a very weird superpower. I'm just saying, he has literal nice shiny white pants. It's a little odd.
I mean, it could be the thing if he also got it from his villain transformation.
I guess
he's legit just naked. He just uses his key to make it look like he's wearing pants.
Ah, yes, clothes beam. He's also got like a lot of braids, which are just everywhere, which are cool. I like all the dragon bits just growing out of him. Also, like, it's subtle. Look at this fucking weird, like, hell dragon claw aura shit going on behind him. Look at this stuff.
Yeah. Some of them looking at the end like hands reaching out.
Yeah, no, this is good. That's good shit. This is a scary boy.
Similar in contrast to the weird hair braids he's got going on.
Yeah, he's flapping all over the place. So he is a big, strong, tough boy.
He looks like he's a quarter of the way of turning into Ogre from Tekken.
He definitely, like, I mean, technically a little bit, I think Monk and Shaman look a little bit like fighting game characters, but this guy really looks like a fighting game character. Like, where's our fucking, where's his cameo role in Vanquish Soul? Yeah, in VS. But so, hey, you may be wondering, what the fuck does Berserker of the Tenyi do? Simultaneously, not a lot, but also a lot. He is a Dark Wyrm Link 3. He has 1 back corner arrow and 2 forward-facing arrows. Interestingly enough, he basically has the same arrow layout as Sir, but he's just missing the bottom, the straight-down arrow. He's got 3k attack for a Link 3, which is pretty alright, I guess, The other generic non-effect Link 3 is the Gaia Lightning, who's only got, like, 26. But his mats are 2+ monsters, including a Link monster. So, hey, literally just have a card to discard and have a Wyrm to special summon off Shaman. You can make this guy. By the way, there's a little bit of localization here. His name in Japanese translates as, it's Kijin. It translates as Fierce God of the Tenyi. That is a little esoteric. I think Berserker does just as good as being like, yeah, this guy's fucked up. He's kind of a weird madman. But yeah, he has no effect. He's just a 3k boy with no effect. And it's a Link 3. This is very important for the deck. Honestly, it's important for lots of other decks. And you will occasionally see him teched in there because, like I said, remember, he is arguably completely generic. He doesn't even need you to be playing fucking Wyrms or Tenyi. He just needs you to use a Link monster and 2+ monsters. So yeah, Berserker, good card. Not a very deep card, but good. And then, oh, I forgot to add one more guy to this, but there's an oddball. But we are going to talk about one more Link monster because, you know, like I said, we got a little bit of storyline stuff going on here. So, our next is Draco Masters of the Tenyi. This is centered up a little more. So, obviously, art-wise here, this is Monk and, you know, Shaman teaming up together with their access to... sorry, I'm double-checking. It's Ashuna, yes, sorry. Not the other A name. With Ashuna, the light chakra. The light chi. So now they are doing a team-up attack. There's not really much else to talk about that there. It's a pretty good pose.
Yep. They have found the power of the golden dragon and must now use it to combat Berserker.
I feel like Monk is about to say something about, you know... I mean, it's, you know, it's not burning red, but that hand of his is very shiny.
He's gonna do, oh, what was it, the Dragon Punch from Dragon Ball?
Yeah, I made that joke earlier, but yes, he's absolutely going to do a Dragon Fist. That dragon's even yellow. So, Draco Masters. This is another, I think, acceptable localization here. Their name in Japanese is Tenyi no Ryukense, which would be Draco Fist Masters. Draco Masters is fine. Because Dragon Fist would be a little wordy. And also lead to many unfortunate puns. Anyway, this is a Link 3 Light Wyrm. It's all the bottom row, so, you know, bottom two corners and back bottom. 2600 attack for a Link 3, so not as big as Berserker, but getting bigger. Its materials are exactly the same as Berserker. It's 2+ monsters, including a Link monster. Draco Masters cannot be destroyed by battle with an effect monster. If you control no other effect monsters, you can destroy effect monsters your opponent controls up to the number of non-effect monsters you control and or in your graveyard. You can only use this effect of Draco Masters once per turn. So, Berserker is your big, bonkless boy who has protection effects because he's a non-effect monster. Draco Masters is, like, actually designed to let you close out certain games by virtue of being, you know, indestructible and having a interactive pop. If you're doing the actual Tenyi line, you probably have access to at least one non-effect monster because you would have had to have used at least one monk. And you may have other stuff in your graveyard or on your board. But yeah, it's an odd one. Honestly, I think with the way the deck works, you probably still want to be making Berserker. The only reason why you wouldn't make, why you would make Draco Masters instead of Berserker would be if you are interacting with your opponent having an established board state and you know you need pops. Like, your opponent has field spells or back row that you, like, know you have to get rid of. Because remember, this is an effect monster, so, you know, you're sacrificing certain interaction abilities.
Yep. I honestly don't have much to add to this one.
But whom do they fight? This guy.
I feel we should leave those. We should leave them on the screen just to show the posing thing. Damn, he became super. He became like Omega level Aura.
Yeah. This is Ogre from Tekken, but also this is the one I see the most.
Also, probably another comparison would be, you know, he ate some Nidhogg eyes.
I think he like
Nidhogg
bit
is
into
the
them
dark
and swallowed the fucking fluid.
He took out his own eyes and put Nidhogg eyes in.
He does have glowing red eyes. This is Draco Berserker of the Tenyi. The name Tenyi no Ryukishin. Fierce dragon god of the Tenyi. So Draco Berserker works.
Ryukishin powered. Oh my god.
Yeah, kind of. And yeah, no, this is just Berserker, but he's more dragony now. He has eaten the dragon chi and is now a dragon man. Or maybe he was just a dragon.
I'm sorry, my mind immediately went to he was kicked out because he was too much of a scaly.
I mean, it is kind of true. I mean, he looks pretty good. Like, his, weird face shape doesn't matter anymore because he's got a dragon. He has the same arrangement of horns as Vishuddha did. He's got, like, the two facing forward and the two up. That's good. Very, very, still, not quite pinchable, but noticeably smaller waist and hip. And shoulder
with
there. Very spiky.
With the way part of his, like, abs are shaped, like, they're clearly defined, but also it looks like a second mouth, almost.
Yeah, because he's got some little teethy spikes on his abs. Obviously, he doesn't care about the fact that something has clearly happened to his genitals. He is like a Ken doll. But he got to keep his cool knee pads, even though his pants are fucking gone.
Yeah.
You got to accessorize. So, yeah, you obviously knew that they must have a synchro in here because, they have a tuner for some ungodly reason.
Oh yeah, Dallas isn't here, but World of Warcraft like shoulder pads.
Oh yeah.
There's pretty low shoulders.
Well, I was gonna say this to Mega, but he wouldn't know to understand what I mean. But when I see this guy, I hear the music from the music you hear from fighting the four devas. I hear that music.
I had a feeling.
I feel that. I hear that music when I look at this guy.
When I said that I wouldn't understand the reference, I just looked at the non-existent camera and smiled and gave a thumbs up.
You must gather the four directional lords to beat this guy.
I mean, that is kind of what happened. But yeah, so this is Draco Berserker, like we said. He is a level 8 Dark Wyrm Synchro. 3k attack, 0 defense. 1 tuner, 1 or more non-tuner monsters. So he is completely generic.
Yeah, not even listening Wyrm in there.
Yeah, no, you don't even fucking need Wyrms. Obviously, this guy is, like, the easiest motherfucker in the world to make in Tenyi. You just, special summon one of your 7s, and then you can normal summon your level 1 tuner or 1-for-1, etc. I'm just seeing if this came out in Chaos Impact. When did Chaos Ruler come out? Okay, Chaos Ruler wasn't until mid-2020 in Rise of the Duelist. All right, that makes sense. So, yeah, you probably, chat, you guys probably aren't as familiar with this guy, but he is one of the best 8 targets. Primarily, I think he was competing with Borrow Load and with Chaos Ruler. Obviously, with Chaos Ruler being correctly banned in the TCG. And maybe someday in Master Duel and the OCG as well. We'll see. This guy's probably getting a little more popular. He's been reprinted a couple of times. Draco Berserker says when your opponent activates a monster effect, quick effect, banish it. So you don't negate the effect, but the monster is fucking banished. Forever. If this attacking card destroys an effect monster by battle and sends it to the graveyard, this card gains attack equal to the destroyed monster's original attack, and it can make a second attack on a monster in this battle phase. You can use each effect once per turn. So it is hard capped to double attacking, but this is basically your alternate win con in Tenyi. Because while it is not a negate, and it is not a non-effect monster, it is a single effect monster, it is a weird banish response, which can, if your opponent's not careful, will absolutely fuck them. Like, okay, cool, you get to, you can normal summon Stratos and search, but now your Stratos is banished. Cool. Or, it's a quick effect. Chain-wise, it wouldn't work, but, it doesn't work on inherent summons, but there's a lot of effects on board that would banish. And then it can act as a closer because it's big, it attacks over a monster, it gets bigger, and attacks again. So it's supposed to be your OTK-type tool. But yeah, you see him a lot for the banish effect, which is very funny, and being a big asshole who's a level 8 synchro.
Yep.
Like, there's a wealth of them, a multitudinous of them.
Like, I've rarely seen this guy used in Tenyi Soul, but that's usually if, they're like, okay, fuck you.
Yeah, I mean, you probably pack it in certain combos, but there are better 8s in Sword Soul, but again, this guy's just a generic 8. Okay, I was just double checking something. So there is a an official token, you know, the Tenyi Spirit token. But the card art they use for that in Master Duel is just Sahasrara's art again. So we're not going to do that. Before we talk about some of the spell traps, though, there's also some other interesting Wyrm stuff I want to mention. So Wyrms are odd. They have a lot of synergy with each other. Everything worm-related kind of ends up in a pile. Not as bad as, there are some other, soup decks, I think. I'm trying to think. MBT is a good example that I'm forgetting right now. It might be Dinosaur. Dinosaur decks look like 90% the same for a long time. There are a lot of decks where you just see the same shit, over and over and over again. Or it can be like that sometimes. There have been some breakouts and some new tech, but there's a lot of, you just see the same crap over and over again. Wyrms end up that way, I think, these days because Sword Soul is such a strong package, Tenyi's such a strong package, and because Sword Soul is good, and by the way, if you want to fight me on that one, I'm pretty sure one of the top 8 lists at Worlds was a Tenyi Sword Soul. That may even have been the final matchup, I'm not sure. I'd have to double check. So because Sword Soul is good, I think Konami is not eager to, advance new generic Wyrm support. You know what I'm saying? It's like why Wyrm exists. I'm pretty sure Wyrm exists as a type because Dragon Rulers happened and Konami went, shit, we hit a critical mass of dragon stuff that we can't do again. What do? We'll invent literally a new type in order to get cards that are dragon-esque, but are not going to hit that same level of criticality. And then they hit that same level of criticality anyway. I don't think Illusion's going that same way. Illusionist cards do actually seem to have their own distinct identity that Konami is attaching to them, kind of like how Psychic started with this, life point paying effects. Illusionist has the cannot be destroyed by battle but can't destroy by battle type stuff going on. So that seems thematic. We'll see. I think it is actually genuinely trying to come up with a new type to celebrate the anniversary and not just shit, we need Spellcaster too. But there is one Wyrm card that I wish to show the chat to discuss, because it's very important to all of this, because there's a lot of Wyrm synchro decks. I think all the 3 big Wyrm ones are synchros.
Yeah.
Now, chat, I have a very important question to ask you. How do you pronounce this card's name?
Okay, I'll hold off on answering.
Most of the people at home are, most of the times you've heard this said before, it's probably wrong.
Okay. Can I take a guess?
Yeah, you can take a guess. Chat's not being super flashy with it.
Tatsu Necro?
No, this is not Tatsu Necro. That is a different card.
Oh shit,
That's
well
a
never
zombie.
mind then. Fuck me.
That's a zombie card.
I don't know what this is. It's a weird seahorse.
I mean, yes, that is technically kind of its name. But yeah, since chat's not biting, you're being lazy this week, chat. In Japanese, this card's name is Tatsunu Otoshiwa. That basically means that it is... So the name for seahorse in Japanese, which is related to Tatsunoko, which is then becomes the pun Tatsu Necro. Sorry, I'm doing every fucking thing wrong. Somebody said in chat I'd have to see how it's written. I'm doing every single command wrong because chat is on the other PC. Hold on a second. They pull up the fucking other keyboard.
Yeah, Omega's dual streaming right now. Multi-computer streaming.
Shout out to YouTube for letting that work, though. Letting me monitor the stream on one PC that's logged into the account and then actually stream it from another.
Ah, Mare.
So, this card's name in Japanese is a pun. It is normally the word for seahorse means dragon's lost child. So this one means, dragon's parent. Most of the time, you will see people say this card's name as either Mare or Mare. Both are probably wrong. Because the pun is probably Mare. as in sea female horse. Get it? It's a pun on seahorse. But yeah, I'm pretty sure it's actually supposed to be like read out that way. I'm not gonna fight you if you don't say mare mare. If you say mare mare or mare mare. It reminds me of like it's a little bit I think of like I'm pretty sure MBT went through this loop. Just because such a big deal was made thanks to the power of progression about Hane, Hane, you know, like that kind of stuff that people started to fight about this, but like it's a pun. I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be Mare Mare. It's just literally seahorse, but like in a funny way. But this card is vital to certain, I mean, Synchrodinks in general, but I think I said Synchrodinks there. Yes, your Synchrodinks. They get smaller when you Synchro Summon them. But especially Wyrm Synchro stuff. So, Mare here is a Water Wyrm Tuner, level 7, with 2100 attack and 1400 defense. Can't be special summoned except by the effect of a Wyrm monster, of which there are several ways to do that. For instance, if it was in your graveyard, you could summon it back with Shaman. Also, because of the way Shaman works, you discard then target. You could discard it off Shaman and then target it. So that's a very good way to do that. So it's only special summonable by Wyrm monster effects. But during your main phase, you can reduce this card's level by 1. If you do, special summon 1 mini Mare token. Wyrm, Water, level 1. 300 attack, 200 defense. You can use this. You can only use this effect of Mare up to thrice per turn. Yes, that's right, chat. This is the rare thrice per turn effect.
I assume it's not that good of an effect, or it's very situational.
I mean, for Synchro, it's very good, X. That instantly means that you can sync 7. And if you're doing other shit, it summons tokens up to 3 times per turn. Hey, Link monsters don't need levels. So, like, also, by the way, those tokens, not affect monsters. So, yeah, no, this is a phenomenal card in a lot of Wyrm builds. It's a little awkward to do because of its summoning condition, but like I said, it literally just make Shaman and you have your route to it. Either put it in your graveyard from, like, starting that way, foolish shit, discard it, etc. The funny thing is, despite the fact that this card's such a great fit, it came out in 2016 in Invasion Vengeance. So this has kind of been on the back burner of Wyrm strategies for a long time, but you will see it a lot in any Wyrm Synchro strategy, which is basically all of them. You've probably heard of this in Sword Soul because Sword Soul has ways to summon it. And it, you know, creates tokens and then synchros. So, like, yeah. This is just another bit of the weird Wyrm tech that I wanted to bring up to people. So let's talk about some spell traps. Back in Tenyi. I've already pulled up the card art for the thumbnail, but I will show it to you again in large form. First, Fists of the Unrivaled Tenyi.
This is Monk and Shaman about to get their asses kicked.
Yeah, basically. Berserker's a big, strong boy, but he's showing his feet in this picture. Honestly, I don't really like the speed lines. I actually think there's a few too many speed lines in this. I think it would look better with just the lightning.
Yeah.
But, yeah. He exists.
A bit too much right there.
But yeah, this is a card you've probably seen even in not Tenyi decks because it's very funny. So, Fists of the Unrivaled Tenyi is a counter trap card. When a spell trap or monster effect is activated while you control a face-up non-effect monster, negate. If this set card you control is destroyed by your opponent's card effect, special summon 1 non-effect monster from your extra deck. That's right, babies. This is a Waking the Dragons and an Omni. So long as you control a non-effect monster.
So they created a... the dumb thing in my mind is like, oh, he's created a raid-wide stun that's also an AoE that you have to miss somehow. He's basically done the thing where you're going to lose the fight now.
Yeah.
Because you can't stop him.
You've hit the enrage timer. Anyway, it's called Fist of the Unrivaled Tenyi. By the way, this is another pretty, apparently a pretty literal translation. Ten-I Muso no Ken. Fists of the Unrivaled Tenyi. But yeah, this is a card that sneaks its way into all kinds of decks. Basically, any case where you would where you would run Waking the Dragons, but instead you also might have non-effect monsters, so you can get its negate effect. But it's spicy. Yeah, Spirit and Lapis said this in chat. Generally considered, the largest non-effect extra deck monster you can summon with this card is Blue Eyes Ultimate, because it has no effect, it just lists the materials, and it's 45 hecking 100. This is why regular vanilla Blue Eyes Ultimate is usually the most popular of the ones, because remember that there are 3 Blue Eyes Ultimate versions. There's Alternative Ultimate, and there's Neo Blue Eyes Ultimate. Which, honestly, both of those are way better at ending the fucking game normally, but you can run Fists of the Unrivaled Tenyi and float. Honestly, with the addition of True Light, I would assume that Fists of the Unrivaled is even more popular, because once it still works off regular-ass Blue Eyes to give you an archetypal Omni, and also your opponent may be blowing up your back row to get rid of Pure Light because you're a dumbass and have flipped a Pure Light. But Fist is a really good card. It's generic, arguably. It's really powerful. It's an Omni. It lets you extend in your extra deck. It's obviously super good in Tenyi itself. It is a name. But you will see it in all kinds of weird places. Like I said, this card has basically become the archetypal Omni of Blue Eyes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it has that unintentional synergy. It's very funny. Our next card, not as popular, though still looking pretty rad. So, this card is called Flawless Perfection of the Tenyi. Now, Axe, you were asking about this earlier. This card's Japanese name is Tenyi Muhochi, translated as Eternal Land of the Tenyi. So, yeah, it seems like Flawless Perfection is more of a... That might be related to the lore, but it does seem like that's more of a looser translation than originally intended. Also, by the way, I think that the Eternal Land name is better, because otherwise, I don't think you'd ever guess that this card called Flawless Perfection of the Tenyi is actually their field spell.
Fair.
So that's a little bit of an oddball translation. But yes, this is their field spell. It's just Monk chilling with his, Dragon Chi buddy, doing some fucking katas. But it's a pretty good field spell. Technically, it is also completely generic. All non-effect monsters in the field are unaffected by monster effects. They're just unaffected. Fuck you. Once per turn, if your opponent special summons and effect monsters while you control a face-down monster or a non-effect monster, except during the damage step, draw 2. So, hey, do you play face-down monsters? And do you play non-effect monsters? Do you need your field spell? Consider Flawless Perfection of the Tenyi. That said, this obviously isn't as popular as Fists of the Unrivaled, because it does take up your field spell slot, and obviously there are going to be some decks where you're not going to get it, but making all your non-effect monsters unaffected and letting you draw 2, funny. Funny card. I think the main thing why this probably doesn't see more play is because of a lot of other weirdness. Like, for instance, I'm not an expert in rulings, but I'm pretty sure that Gemini monsters don't work with Tenyi because they are still Geminis. Even when they say they count as normal monsters, they are still technically effect monsters because they're Geminis. So I don't know if the fact that they say that they are normal monsters until summoned works with the way Tenyi works with them being non-effect monsters. But there's still plenty of other weird shit. Let me see. I think our next couple of card arts are a little boring, but we'll see. This one's all right. This one I think has lore implications. So this is this card is Heavenly Dragon Circle. That is a pretty literal translation. Art-wise, it shows, I think, Monk actually connecting with the light Chi Dragon with Ashina. I love the wispy cloud effect. Love those kind of clouds. That's cool.
Yeah.
The detail on his body's a little low res, so it's a little funny to me that he's fucking, I have the power. Ing. There's a lot of good detail work. The double coiled dragon thing is kind of cool. This is a quick play spell card, though. It says, tribute a Wyrm monster, add a Wyrm from your deck to your hand. If you tributed a non-effect monster to activate this card, you can special summon it instead, but negate its effects during your main phase. If you control face-up non-effect monster, banish the card from your graveyard, add a 10-yi to your deck to your hand. You can only use one effect per turn, only once that turn. So yes, this is a 10-yi card. It does actually have an extra effect. The primary thing, though, is it's a Wyrm card first. Tribute a Wyrm, add a Wyrm. If you tribute a non-effect monster, special that Wyrm, but negate its effects. That said, it does let you, banish itself to cycle and add 10-yis back. This is also, by the way, probably why a lot of their, half their spell traps don't actually mention 10-yis by name. But their field spell and Fists of the Unrivaled are both searchable by this effect. So this can be a good card to just fucking Foolish Burial Goods. Hell, discard it off Shaman, And then our last 10-yi card. Though I do have a couple of other funny cards to bring up. Because what I want to say is that I think especially with the way... I think part of it is intended, but you may have noticed, chat, that we've talked about 3 big Wyrm archetypes, right? I think the big 3. I can double check if there's any others that I'm not thinking about off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure Yangzing, Sword Soul, and Tenyi are the big Wyrm ones. Yeah, the other one is okay. Are the True Draco Wyrms? Okay, that's cool. That is true. We haven't talked about True Draco or True Kings. And VW does have some Wyrms. That's true, but they also have other stuff. Metaphys, I think, is the other big one. And the less we talk about Metaphys, the better.
Yeah. Metaphys is an interesting attempt.
I think it's an attempt.
Yeah.
An attempt was made.
Yeah.
There are some Wyrms in Rush that are not in the core set, but yeah, it's got some interesting stuff in there. But the big 3 are obviously going to be Yangzing, Sword Soul, and Tenyi. And you may have noticed that all 3 of those are kind of, not just East Asia, but very specifically, China-inspired. I think that's kind of carried over with a lot of their support. So it's just a funny little guy thing they got going on there. Kind of interesting how, I think it is intentional thematically that a lot of them link together. Anyway, I said all of that to bring up this card, Vessel for the Dragon Cycle.
Mm-hmm.
It's Berserker, sitting in his cave. Vishuda is back there. I mean, in this art, he really looks, because he's not Draco'd out yet, he really does look like Berserker from Fate's Day Night.
All I can picture every time I hear the words Berserker or just said it like that is just, you're saying that in a Carnival Phantasm and just you see Herc stomp, 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 open doors. And he just pokes his head through.
Inner loop!
I'll see if I can find it.
I mean, that's how it works, yeah. But yeah, technically this was more like Hollow Dragon Cycle in Japanese, but that might be a little weird. This is a normal spell. Foolish Burial a Wyrm! Send a Wyrm from your deck to your graveyard. Because, you needed 3 copies of Foolish Burial, right? Then if you control a face-up non-effect monster, add a 10-yi monster with a different name for the monster sent to the graveyard. You can only activate 1 dragon cycle per turn. So, yeah, this is a good card just in generic Wyrm decks as well. I think that probably Sword Soul spell traps have edged it out a little bit, but just, hey, would you like 3 copies of Foolish Burial for Wyrm monsters? Remember I said you could Foolish Burial Madai Mare? There you go. Literally right here.
Yeah, Mega. I think it's finally hit me.
What?
Berserker is literally just Heihachi, Akuma, and I think one other dude from another fighting game put all shoved together.
Yeah, we were talking about that earlier, how he really does look like a fighting game character. He is just kind of like...
All
that.
of, like, the big old man dudes.
Like, whenever you need some weird, semi-demonic punchman to be your final boss, he's that guy.
Yep.
But so, as chat prepares for another ad break, there's 2 more spell traps I'd like to talk about, which are not directly related to Tenyi, but do go into that thing I talked about, where I feel like Konami does actually have some design goals with Wyrms, and they've been sitting on them for a long time. This first card, you may know it, chat. This is Oasis of Dragon Souls. This card is from 2014. It's printed in the New Challengers. It predates Tenyi specifically by like 5 years. That said, this is a good card. Art-wise, it's got some little wet dragony guys jumping up out of an oasis in a desert. It's pretty normal. But this is a continuous trap that's basically called the Haunted. Activate by targeting a monster in your graveyard, special summon in defense position. It becomes Wyrm type. When this card leaves the field, destroy that monster. When that monster leaves the field, destroy this card. It's basically Call of the Haunted with better future proofing, but it turns them into Wyrms. I believe this was released very early in Wyrm's life cycle. Like if Wyrms weren't newly introduced in New Challengers, they were only probably a couple of packs old. You know? So, it's an exotic one. Yeah, I don't think this is where they debuted, but still, pretty early. But yeah, it does kind of continue, you know, this natural aesthetic. There are deserts in China, and so it's an interesting one. I would not say it's super guaranteed that you need to be running Oasis of Dragon Souls in your Wyrm deck, but because it turns other monsters into Wyrms. But that can be helpful if you're running weird generic support. And, you know, Call of the Haunt is not necessarily a bad card, depending on what deck you're doing. But another Wyrm card that is, you know, really important. This card is Oasis of Dragon Soul, or Waterfall of Dragon Souls. The other one was Oasis. Interesting, by the way, I should point out, technically, that's like a localization slant. The phrase in Japan is like secluded ethereal waterfall, you know, like a ghost waterfall. But I think the TCG really did a smart thing here, where they were like, oh, this shit's about this is about like spiritual dragons and stuff like that. We can make this a reference to Oasis of Dragon Souls. This was 2017. Maximum Crisis. This was still before Tenyi's. But yeah, art-wise, looking pretty good. It's a waterfall. There's some Dragon Souls in it. The waterfall is shaped like a dragon, so that's neato. But this is a normal trap that says, activate one of these effects. 1. Add 1 Wyrm monster from your deck to your hand. That's right. While it is a normal trap, this is Rhoda for Wyrms. 2. Send any number of Wyrms from your hand or face-up field to the graveyard. Draw cards equal to the number of monsters you sent to the graveyard, +1. That's right. You did your whole combo line. You still have a grip full of fucking Tenyis you can't summon because you don't control a non-effect monster anymore. Fuck them. Put them in the graveyard. Draw a fuck ton of cards. Your opponent couldn't get through your line. You don't need your board anymore. Sack them. Draw a shitload of cards. This is why Wyrms are good, basically, is what I'm saying. Konami has like these thematic ideas of what good cards are. They have an aesthetic in mind for a lot of these cards, and they just make good support. This card is literally Rhoda, but also it's fucking like, it's like super regeneration, but you don't need to actually like, you just get to send the cards and draw the cards. It's fucking cracked. It's crackerjacked. It's pretty cool.
Yep.
And that's Tenyi. Now, before we scootle on out of here, we've been here for about an hour and a half. There's some other stuff to talk about that could be funny. Oh, God, this image is so tiny. I didn't realize. But, hey, Yu-Gi-Oh! Worlds happened. The World Championship happened.
Yes, they did.
And in case you didn't know, for the first time ever, literally, in 23-ish attempts... Yeah, I think they had World Championships before they did it, but there were several years skipped for COVID format. Anyway, an American, a member of Team USA, won Worlds.
Dragon Link.
With Bestial Dragon Link, yes. Also, shockingly enough, top 8, no OCG players. I believe there were a couple of Europeans. There were several from South and Central America. By the way, actually, I believe the 2 representatives from South America both cleared. Literally 100% clearance rate. And, you know, Americans, Canadians, etc. No OCG players, which doesn't include just Japan, by the way. Also includes Korea, and I believe China is included in the OCG list as well. But yeah, so, won it with what you see before you, Bestial Dragon Link. It's just Dragon Link. It's got all the spicy stuff you'd expect. You've got a pretty thorough Bestial package in there, one of all the spooky names, and then 3 Sireneer. You've got Wyver Burster and Collapse Serpent. I think I technically said their names out of order. 1 copy of Levineer, rocking it. Seifert. I love this combo, by the way. 3 Black Metal Dragons, so you can search 1 DMD. Even though I think DMD is unlimited, you only need the
Hey,
1.
Mega,
Yeah,
by TCG standards, you could technically call this deck a Red Eyes deck.
I mean, you could. There's 4 fucking Red Eyes cards in here. That's actually, honestly, that's not that weird. Dragon Link usually runs that small.
You'd at least have like 15 Red Eyes cards to call a deck a Red Eyes deck.
Yeah, probably. But I will say this, that's not uncommon for Dragon Link to run a small Red Eyes package. You've got 2 Rocket Tracers. I would also like to put forward, technically, I think this means an anime deck won Worlds, because a lot of your centerpieces here are anime cards. You've got a very healthy Rocket package.
A lot of the
Wyrms
range cards are really
there.
good, so it's like, yeah.
It's true, yeah. But yeah, you've got Rocket Tracer, you got a couple of other rockets I don't remember, one of those Absa 2 Nib in main deck, by the way, the 3rd on the side, 3 Droll, 3 Ash Blossom, 3 Veiler. I don't remember if Max C was legal or not for Worlds. 1 Foolish, 3 Quick Launch, 3 Chaos Space, 1 Boot Sector Launch, 1 Dragon Ravine, 1 Branded Regain, and 1 Branded Beast. This is technically incorrect, by the way. I can look up his side deck, but this list is technically incorrect. It says there's only 44 cards. This motherfucker won Worlds with a 45-card deck. You want to know what the 45th card was?
What?
Pendulum said. Pendulum Chaos Emperor Dragon.
Oh, okay.
God fucking damn it.
Because it's another enabler?
Yeah.
Huh.
It's a Chaos monster, and also it can do board wipes and stuff.
Also, I've noticed, like, this deck is, like, it's 44 cards, but, like, honestly, I feel like he probably had 4 of those cards because he was probably, like, rounding out his hand traps and Nebrews.
Yeah, there's a little bit of flexibility. Let me grab the full
Also,
deck
like,
so you can see
I feel like, considering how this deck works, you'll usually be fine even if you draw mostly, because if you draw any of your spells, you're basically going to get into other cards anyway.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like you're hoping on
the extra
like, a full
there
deck
is,
land
let
of
me
just
pull
hand
a full
traps.
list so I can actually see. I've got it here somewhere, I think. Yeah, this is a list. 34 monsters. Chaos Emperor Dragon of Armageddon is the one there. You've got 1 Lubellion, 3 Seifert, Rocket Recharger, Caliber. The extra deck is Barone, Borreload, Bestial Dispater, Scarlight Red Dragon Archfiend, 1 Heraldic King of Atum, and the Link monsters you've got Access Code, Boral End, Dark the Dark Charmer, Romulus, so you can search your 1 copy Ravine, 1 Pisty, 2 Spheres, Quad Boral Strikel, Triple Burst Dragon. So this is a very strong leaning there. And then the side deck was 2 Cosmic Cyclone, 3 Ghost Bell, 1 Feather Duster, 3 Imperm, the 3rd Nibiru I mentioned before, 3 Solemn Strike, 2 Triple Tack Talents. And I was right. The runner-up was Tenyi Sword Soul. So the finals were Tenyi versus Dragon Link, the ultimate pile decks. So yeah, fun.
Just going ham, just throw everything in there.
I mean, hey, it works. I am kind of curious to see if this will lead to changes in Master Duel's ban list overall, because technically there was also a Master Duel World Championship where an American team also won. It honestly, like, I don't want to read too much into this, but I do genuinely wonder what this means. That, like, for the first time ever, not only was the World Championship, won by an American, it was dominated by TCG players overall. And, like, what does that mean? Is Max C a crutch? Like is that actually genuinely really warping the way the meta works in the OCG? That they like don't deck build smarter or better?
I mean, pro players, I think I've seen like pro players mention that they hate that Maxis exist because it means certain decks that can play just don't work just never work.
Yeah, and I mean, I'll say this: your world champion, whose name I should actually read out. Let me grab my list again to let everybody know. The world champion is
John Yu-Gi-Oh! Souls.
no, Paulie Aronson. So shout out to Paulie, Yu-Gi-Oh! World Champion, the king of games.
Thumbs up.
But he's built this deck to win the Maxi minigame. You've got main decking Droll and Ash. Like I said, I gotta double check if Maxi was actually legal, because Worlds is a weird format where they hodgepodge the lists together, right? But if Maxi was legal, he was prepped to counter that shit. If you're curious how that works, Ash obviously can negate Maxi's effect because Maxi says you draw a card. Droll, if your opponent draws outside of their draw phase, Droll says nobody gets to draw cards anymore. So if you activate Maxi and draw a card, you activate Droll and you're like no. But let me see if I can find the world's ban list. It'll unfortunately be buried under 4 million creative deck profiles and Rush Duel summaries. I will say Konami did bait us a little bit. They had like a fucking website timer and everything to talk about the anniversary and stuff. It just turns out that probably interesting, but Sevens is coming to Duel Links, which is really interesting. But also they're going to do another tournament to memorialize. So that's cool, but that's not what people wanted, which was we wanted a new master rule or like something. And I mean, MBT was fucking huffing copium because he's like, unified ban list. I'm like, no. We may need to embarrass the OCG at Worlds a couple more times before they realize that they maybe don't have the best ban list in the world.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see.
It's just the people who are thinking unified ban list got me the same kind of feeling as the people going, yeah, FGO NA catching up to FGO JP. I'm like, what the fuck?
I mean, it's a little bit of
doing?
a similar vibe. Like, I think technically the unified, because we used to have a unified ban list. Oh yeah, they announced for the 25th they're doing a, like, it sounded like it was just a reprint set, but they are going to acknowledge the dual terminal world. So we might get, like, new cards, or that might just be kind of what we did later. Oh, the OCG did update some stuff for fucking surrendering in certain contexts.
Apologies if I was quiet for a while. I had to quickly throw this together because apparently this GIF does not exist.
I'm just gonna have to Google the ban list. No, that's a stream schedule. Oh wait, here we go. Format, deck and deck list. Do you guys have the... Yes, here we go. The WCS 2023 Forbidden Limited list.
Potato chips legal in Japan. Martha shared a link in Fail Portrayal.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I have
the picture for the preview picture is great though. Look at that guy.
Ah, okay, that was that. Yeah. Okay. No wonder I couldn't fucking find it. Listen, I love Waiju Organization to death, but also I fucking hate their guts because, like, can you guys have, like, a normal thumbnail image to fucking things? And also, can you stop putting Rush Duel anime news on your main news page, please? I just want to find Yu-Gi-Oh! Updates, okay?
Megan, you don't need to hate their guts. You could just hate the organization.
I mean, yeah, like I said, I love and hate them. It's just, it's so... whatever. All right, so, first of all, there's a lot of really old OCG normal monsters that fucking suck that have never been released in the TCG and thus aren't legal because they're not worldwide cards. I'd love to see a set of nothing but those assholes, but yeah. Judgment of the Pharaoh and Yujo Friendship were not allowed because they are not released in Korea and Europe. Those were specifically in Japan and, you know, the rest of the TCG areas. All the cards that are still... not released yet in the TCG, but also cards that aren't yet released in Korea. One of the OCG regions don't count. So Shuttleroid, out. Holokite, out. Magi Magician Gal, still out. The special Giga Rays Gandora, I think that was a recent promo. That's out. Ankaribo, not released. True Exodia, not released.
Holy shit, damn.
Yeah, Numeronius and Numeronia aren't released in Korea yet, apparently, so no. a lot of the weird, like, promo cards, like Power Pro Lady Sisters and shit like that aren't out. Korea also didn't have Dark Magician Knight of Dragon Magic, so, you know that we're not going to allow, Dark Magician to win. No Assault Synchron, no Armed Neos, no Rocket Coder. It didn't matter.
Yeah.
And then actual cards that are just straight up, like, not allowed for forbidden reasons. So let's see. There was no Protoss. There was no Scythe, because Scythe is still banned in the TCG, as he fucking should be. No Archer, no Ava, no Ronin Toden, and no Substitute. That's funny. Got him in both. No Harp Horror, no Redox, no Jin Releaser, no Soldier. Wow, straight up no Keshira Fenrir. I forgot he's, like, straight up forbidden in the OCG. They're gonna... That's funny, by the way. That card fucking banned in the OCG outright. They're gonna release it in Master Duel at semi-limit to start.
Yep.
And they didn't pre-hit Diabolus. Yes, Maxi was banned. So, I think we can canonically say Maxi is a fucking crutch. Let's see. Also to say, Cyberstorm was banned, Soulbreaker Armor was banned, Wind Up Hunter was banned, Spiral Master Plan was banned, no Masterpiece, no Tyrant Neptune, no Fiber Jar, no Fishboard Blaster. Oh, they dropped Snow because she's also forbidden in the TCG. It sounds like basically what they did was, one, every card that's banned in both, fuck you, it's banned in both, but also any card that was singleton banned, because, like, Colossus was banned because it was banned in the TCG, but Dark Dragoon is still banned in the OCG, so he was banned as well. So, yeah, anything that, like, was banned in one or both was hit. So that's really interesting. It truly was the overlap format, and the Dragon Link players came out on top. So, yeah, you can check this list out for yourself, chat. Let me grab the link and... Wait, nope, I can't do that because I'm looking at the link, not on that PC where I've got the chat window. Marth posted the link to us in Fail Portrayal. If he wants, he can be kind enough to post the link in the YouTube chat so you guys can click this as well. But yeah, it's really interesting. It's very interesting how that shook out, and like I said, I hope it has a positive change for us peons down on the ground. We're looking at maybe better ban lists in... I mean, I don't really care if they get better ban lists in the OCG, but I think it would be nice if we did want to move towards a unified ban list, if we actually, like it, because it seems like the world's ban list was a unified ban list. Every card that was banned in either or was also banned, and same with, like, limits and stuff. So, like, maybe we have room to grow in a skillful format. But also, I hope it inflicts changes in Master Duel as well, because, like I said, there's a lot of crazy shit that is not banned in Master Duel because it wasn't banned yet in the OCG, and it just makes some very unsufferable. Fucking Snow at 3, guys. Snow is still at 3 in Master Duel. Why is this allowed? That's such a pain in the ass card. It's so not fun.
It's the people who make Master Duel into tiny furries.
I don't know, I guess. Like, fucking Chaos Ruler's not banned in the OCG or in Master Duel. So yeah, like, it's interesting.
Because they're into giant dragons.
I mean, that's true. It's Japan. We're still in, I mean, Dragon Link won, so we're still into giant dragons over here as well. It's just, you know, like I said, in the TCG, we understand the Chaos Ruler. Fuck it, it's probably not a good idea. A guy that mills 5 and also can summon himself back. Spicy.
It's not gonna go well.
Yeah. No, he's a spicy boy. Responsible for a lot of dumb comments and lines. I'm thinking with my brain. If there's anything else I want to say about that, probably not. But it's cool and interesting, and you should look into it. I will say, for as much as Konami, like, talked up in that shareholder meeting we talked about, like, a couple of weeks ago, that, like, they wanted, you know, there to be more about, like, live streaming and presentation and stuff. Our World Championship wasn't really that. Several rounds of the World Championship appeared to be played in the fucking back rooms. They did at least fly a bunch of people out to Japan. Like, a lot of content creators got called out. Not MBT, obviously. I think it's exactly because he unironically says the word bussy. But Mr. Zeef was there. I think Farfa got called out. But, like, they only had, like, one set of commentators. You know, one permanent set of a couple commentators. And didn't really do any, like, collab stuff. So, like, Konami's trying, but also still not quite there. I am hopeful that, like I said, they made a big deal out of it on their shareholder call that they're like trying to be spicier. Overall, Konami, if you're listening to me, which you're not, but if you are, number one, just fucking please get the Master Duel ban list under control a little bit. Like, you still haven't fully gutted tier. And you should probably just ban Eradicator Epidemic. I know I'm our local lab player. You should probably just get that card out of my deck. I can still search it whenever the fuck I like. Get out of here. It's just not very fun to get fucking... And I can reset it, so it doesn't matter if it's limited. So it's just very unfucking fun to get locked out of spells and traps, basically. So yeah, that's something I think would be cool. And maybe more UR Dust, maybe, please? It's really hard to build decks all the time because you're very stingy with the dust. I think I've sacrificed, like, literally every useless UR I am allowed to uncraft. Yeah. So please let me uncraft legacy URs for UR Dust. Please. They fucking suck. Help me out here. But also, hey, Konami. Please. Rush duels in America. Do it. Don't worry about cannibalizing your audience. You'll get some overlap. Do it.
Do what you want.
I want to see, like, the accessible, fast version of the game. Speed it up. Also, in general, speed up releases in Master Duel as well. Like, literally, we are just now getting probably just the first wave of Kashtira support. And let me see when that was released. So, Kashtira was released in Darkwing Blast. That was the set after Power of the Elements. There have been... let's see. For clarity, by the way, that was in October of 2022, so it was like 6 months ago. And there have been 4. There have been like 4 whole card sets released since then. So, like, damn, that sucks. That sucks that we're so behind and we're gonna drag out. Yeah. I mean, I don't know what the Rush Duel meta is. I know that they have their own domination and stuff, but I think it's just there's a real conversation about how easy it is to teach Yu-Gi-Oh, and I do genuinely think that, like, that is probably one thing against the game. Basic Yu-Gi-Oh is easy to pick up, but complexly, like, actually showing off people all the time is hard. And also, it would be nice if it was, like, self-teachable, because judging by what I see from, like, tweets and internet comics and jokes about teaching people modern Yu-Gi-Oh, the people who teach people modern Yu-Gi-Oh are combo player assholes who just, like, blow out their opponent with hand traps or whatever.
Yep.
I mean, like, yes, I think a lot of those people fucking exaggerate, but also they're getting these stories from somewhere, so... And this is why surrendering is important. Don't let your opponent hold you combo hostage.
Combo hostage?
Listen, if you are not allowed to legally surrender, you're a hostage. You can't leave the game. They get to combo off. They get to go, no, bro, let me finish.
Hello, police. This person's holding a deck to my head.
I think that's where I think that's literally where it's like.
Well, guess what?
You get them penalized. I guess.
What happened to the OC? I mean, they're not. I don't know how slow play rules in the OCG, but what would usually happen is that the player who had already lost would do a minor misplay, call a judge on themselves, and DQ themselves rather than let their opponent finish. But the OCG is actually getting better about that. They are changing their surrender policy for, like, high-level tournament play. Because, you know, games are streamed, and when the audience and one of the duelists, when all the duelists actually know the game is fucking over, but especially when at least one of the duelists knows the game is over and, you know, the audience can tell as well because they have all the information, it's better to just go next. But there you go. There's been your Yu-Gi-Oh! Philosophy Corner. We've been going for almost 2 hours. There is a new fail portrayal up, a new poll up. I've put it up in a timely fashion. Let me actually check the results. I haven't looked in a few days. Let's see what fresh hell we've got for us. It's mostly the same. We just had to swap see some of the stuff that obviously got swapped around naturally. Like I had to drop Tenyi because, you know, it was a solo mode. So let's see. Well, as shocking nobody, Loth is going for that Tron guess, that 3-peat. Blackluster Soldier in the lead with 6. Gimmick Puppet,
Fuck yeah!
still fucking 0.
Everyone just likes DM for some reason. Everyone just
I
likes
mean, it's
DM.
nostalgia.
It's the only thing they know.
Also, to be fair,
Nostalgia,
there are a lot of
mate.
cards. Also, you shouldn't complain about the audience too much, Axe, because you're second place with 3 votes, Spiral. Still winnable. Winnable game state. Gimmick Puppet has fucking 0. Inzector, which was Marth's last pick that I kept with because he did not yell at me to change it, stayed at 1. I put in Trickstar because that's another anime deck that I actually find very funny to fucking Trickstar troll people. That's only got 2 votes, so that's 3rd place. But yeah, it looks like BLS is winning, but we've only got 12 votes total. You know, there's 9 days left, so you got over a week. Support us a patron at the 5 and up level to vote in that poll, and that'll be later. And I'm pretty sure, unless something crazy happens with like this next Master Duel update, next week we're coming back for more Yu-Gi-Oh stuff on Fail Portrayal, and we're gonna start talking about Vsauce Starfrost.
Thesis.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Windows Vista.
This is Starfrost. Because that'll be fun. So that'll be
First arc is over essentially.
a little bit of That's why we're starting it. That'll be a couple of the generic cards like Visas himself, and also Scareclaw, which is funny because that was the deck that did not become meta defining. Well,
only it's the carryover cards did.
That's a little generous to Manadium. Manadium is kind of mid also. It's all right. But Tearlament and Cashier were fucking huge meta breakout hits, which are part of this arc as well. So, chat, I hope you'll join us to discuss these, layered Buddhist realms of hell and the dark emotions and how you can separate yourself from them.
The fun thing is we do get to now actually know the context of all the inspiration behind all the things too now.
Yeah. And so
Samsara, karma.
yeah, check out. Are you gonna be ready for Visa Samsara at the end? And yeah, but we're gonna start with Scareclaw, and we get to talk about Scareclaw Funko Pop and all the other weird shit there's supposed to be going on there, and probably dissect why Scareclaw didn't take off.
Hey, Omega, check this out.
Oh boy, what you got?
So I made a deck in Master Duel.
Oh no.
Oh, you made the Phantasm Spiral. Wow, what a loft special. Okay, chat, I have to actually I'll post this image in Discord.
Why are you playing Pachi and fucking Phantasm Spiral?
It's a normal.
Are there like bigger normals to play now?
I mean, yes, technically, but you usually play Megalo Smasher X because it's water, but I don't think it matters.
He's in here, but it's me.
So, chat, this is the Loft Special. The man has Blazing Impachi, Phantasm Spiral Dragon, Phantasm Spiral Wave, Imperm, and Card Destruction. This is one of the loftiest hands of all time, because arguably, it's like halfway to a brick.
I know, right? It's very close. Meanwhile, this guy's throwing mythical beasts at me.
Oh, well, at least you found, a cute matchup. Somebody running Endymion. That's a card. That'll probably go in a fucking poll sometime, like Endymion stuff, because that's like a deck that some people really like and like the lore about. Other people look at Pendulum Endymion and have an aneurysm. But it's a fan favorite, but never been a huge breakout. Always been a rogue. But all right, hey, I'll be seeing you next time. Stay tuned tomorrow for our Final Fantasy XIV stream. We're going back to Alamigo.
Alamigo!
And, I'll continue
This guy
to
just
do
fucking
cool
double
stuff.
upstart goblin me.
Man,
Yeah.
I take the life points. You might want it.
I take your life. Yeah, take your fucking life points. Listen, Loth, he really needed that card draw. I run Upstart and Labyrinth. Because I really need, but sometimes I need that card draw. And
Sometimes you need to have 37 cards in your deck.
well, to be fair, it's because all the other shit is like limited. I run like one extrav, 2 duality normally, and I think I cut the 1 extrav for 1 upstart because it's just like I'm only gonna draw 1 card anyway. Just give him the fucking life points. It doesn't matter. Anyway, tune into our Final Fantasy XIV stream. Sorry there was no Monday stream. Lucky was not feeling well about it. He talked about how he had some pretty gnarly weather shift. It was like, I think over the weekend it was like 80 degrees and then it dropped down to like 60 degrees Fahrenheit. So like, did a big like change up from like hot and humid to fucking cool. So yeah, he just wasn't feeling it yesterday, so we didn't bother. But yeah, we'll catch up on that. All right. Before I end the stream, Loth, you have to explain why you're dying.
Oh man, look at all these Endymion and magical beasts. This guy fucking electromites and then puts Astrograph Sorcerer on the deck.
Oh, that's it. I remembered. Law, thank you for saying that. That's the deck that MBT criticizes for always having the same, like, 40 fucking cards all the time. Pendulum soup decks.
Like, what the fuck is this?
Pendulum just gets souped together.
Ooh.
That new weird archetype that they advertised will not do that. But I'm going to end the stream now, guys. Please leave a like. Please leave a comment. Please subscribe. Please ring the bell. Please consider supporting our channel memberships. Please consider joining our Patreon so you can vote in the poll. I have asked for your forgiveness enough. Next time I will no longer be asking. I will be Draco Berserking. Good night, everybody.
Bye.